Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Rivera, and this is the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Support for the Stop Writing Alone podcast is brought to you by Kim, the Coloring Book Coach. Did you know you can heal your heart and more through coloring and the other fun services Kim offers as a Reiki healer and intuitive? Visit thecoloringbookcoach.com now for your free coloring book and save 15% on any service when you use the code STOPWritingAlone15 in the booking notes when you make your appointment at thecoloringbookcoach.com. That's StopWritingAlone15 at thecoloringbookcoach.com. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. 2020, you will never seem to end in your disappointments. If you are a NaNoWriMo member, a subscriber, and if you've been looking forward to this November as being the moment where you could finally break free as a writer and start meeting face to face with fellow writers going for the great challenge of writing an entire novel in 1 month's time and reconnecting with people through the in-person write-ins and NaNoWriMo events. But of course, this year, that is not going to happen. Earlier this week, the people at NaNoWriMo sent out an email and tweeted it out and put up on the forums. Plain and simple, there will be no NaNoWriMo endorsed in-person events for the entire year of 2020. And while that news is greatly disappointing for all of the reasons that NaNoWriMo is awesome every single year, we now have that too stripped away from us right now. I could not agree more with the decision. These are really, really tough times. And one thing that I love that was mentioned in the email and the message from the people at NaNoWriMo is that simply one person participating in NaNoWriMo, whether it's one of their municipal liaisons or who are all volunteers, by the way. You know, if you're not fully aware, NaNoWriMo is a non-profit organization. These are not people that are hired and paid to do any of this stuff, right? So they said one person, whether it one of their volunteers or a participant, coming to be involved in the writing community, contracting COVID-19 would be entirely too many. So they are doing the work to disable even the option of posting an in-person event on their website and encouraging everyone to start to think creatively about how to keep the spirit and all of the excitement alive for this event and all writing events outside of the realm of in-person events. And that's hard. It is really, really difficult, especially for people who have been in the routine and rhythm of making this part of their year, part of their way of connecting and finding new writing friends. So what do you do? First of all, I would say make sure you stay connected with your regional municipal liaisons in the NaNoWriMo community, because they are going to start brainstorming and sharing all different events. And many of the local MLs have already started posting what their plans are. And some will be using Zoom with the, live video events. Some people will be using Google Meet, and some will be using Discord, which, if you're not familiar, is a platform that is more like a texting platform. And I'm sure many will come up with even other newer options to connect with their community. But I would also say now is the time to really start to branch out and look more widely. There is within this a great opportunity to truly find your people. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you are limited to only meeting writers who are local to you, they're just going to be whoever shows up, whoever's interested in writing and happens to be local. The second that we break that open and say, well, now I don't have to just meet people that are close in proximity to me, but I can virtually reach out to the entire world. Now you can look for people that are writing in your genre, that have the same interests as you outside of writing, that are perhaps the same style writer as you. Maybe you want to get together with a whole bunch of plotters or pantsers or people that are really engaged in a certain sort of story structure. I say all this because, as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast, I have stumbled upon a wonderful virtual community in this way through Stop Writing Alone and the Happy Campers Club. Not one of us, I'm trying to think of the entire group. Yeah, none of us live close to each other. So if it were not for Zoom and all of our online connections, we would not have stumbled upon each other at some NaNoWriMo event. Meanwhile, we are meeting day after day and finding that we are writing more, we are chatting more. I mean, it's really funny. Like, we are really a close-knit group of people now, right? Because of the wonder of the internet. So how do you do this if you want to create a virtual meeting space and maintain that kind of excitement and grow these types of connections with the people that you meet? The number one thing that you need in order to create any type of community, whether it's in person or virtual, is that you have to create a safe space. Particularly with creatives, you have got to feel, just think about yourself the first time you ventured out into a group setting, or perhaps you haven't done it yet and you're thinking about how the heck am I ever going to share my writing and be vulnerable and share my first drafts with people. You got to feel safe. You have got to feel safe. You have to trust that the people that you are going to be with and sharing with are going to have your back. That comes from the leadership of the group. So if you are going to create a group, you have got to ensure that that is the primary goal. The first goal is always that everyone feels safe. And that comes with an open mind. You got to make sure that everybody understands that their writing is welcome, that their level of writing is welcome. And I spoke about this on previous episodes where you may want to be specific about that kind of thing. If perhaps you don't want to have a diverse group of writers and you want to really just deal with people that are on the same level as you. Really what I believe that can deliver all these messages and not lead to a place of difficult conversations or people feeling uncomfortable is clarity in your vision, right? So if you are clear that, we're looking for people who are really getting started and we all want to be cheerleaders for each other, that's going to be a place that younger writers, and by younger I don't mean age, but younger in their craft, will say, oh, that sounds, like me. Yeah, we need to cheerlead each other. We're getting started. This is great. They're definitely safe. And then if a more experienced writer comes in, they know what they're in for, right? So if and I can see many experienced writers wanting to be a part of that type of community just for the freshness of it, and perhaps practicing their own hand at helping other writers. But as long as they go in knowing that, that's going to be their role, versus saying, okay, this is a group of writers that are experienced, previously published. This is, we're working on our second and third novels or whatever it is, to be clear about that, so that if this is, my first NaNoWriMo and I'm just getting started, that I know that maybe this is not the group for me. And immediately there's safety for whichever community you're serving. When I created the Happy Campers Club, it really was, I felt I wanted to create a space for whoever needed support and cheerleading at whatever point they were in on their personal writing projects. So it may sound like a very sort of vague thing, but the clarity was that we were there for support for our writing, regardless of our expertise. So that it's, we're here for our craft. We all come with whatever it is that we have, and then we are there to support one another. And when it comes time, and when it came time for us to first start talking about critique, that was when we started to talk about, okay, where are we all at, and what are the things that we each need. But I do believe that if you're looking for a NaNoWriMo group, critique is so far off in the future, because NaNoWriMo is all about creation. And then for the technicalities of how to actually make virtual groups work, there are so many options. As I said, Zoom is one of the things that was mentioned by the NaNoWriMo email and the community, one of the platforms that they're using, and that is something that I use. You can get a free membership to Zoom, which only affords like a certain amount of time and a certain amount of people at once. But the first level of payment, I think, is something like $15 a month, and that is probably more than you would even need for a small writing group. I haven't gone past the first level yet myself. And Zoom has been the primary way that I have connected with the Happy Campers Club, and how I've done write-ins on the Stop Writing Alone Facebook page and group. It's fantastic because you can make it a private sort of meeting, and it also has the flexibility that you could, if you wanted to, host a video chat live, either on Facebook or on YouTube. The fantastic thing about this platform, and it's not the only one, there's Google Meet, there's StreamYard, there's so many different things now where we can do, obviously, old school Skype, right? All different ways that we can meet face to face. Not in person, but still face to face. And obviously it's not exactly the same, but it offers so much of what we need for that human interaction, that it really did help sustain me. And I think I can speak for the other ladies in the Happy Campers Club, many of them, during this whole lockdown experience, that we were seeing each other face to face. It's really a great platform. And for my answer to the question of NaNoWriMo, how do we maintain the excitement and the energy, I do think that creating and hosting live video face-to-face meetings in some form, whatever platform you use, is going to be a great avenue to do so. A great supplement to that is an app that, again, I know that I've mentioned before in this podcast, and that is Marco Polo. And I have to thank Tammy O'Quinn, who's in Stop Writing Alone, and in the Happy Campers Club. And by the way, Tammy hosts a Shut Up and Write-In every Thursday night. So just keep your eye on the Stop Writing Alone Nicole Rivera Facebook page. She always posts the link up on Thursday nights, right at around like 8:30 or 9 p.m. Eastern, and the write-in is at 9:15 Eastern. But Tammy's the one that introduced me first to the Marco Polo app. And if you're not familiar with Marco Polo, I use it with my family now as well. It's fantastic. It's like texting, except it's video. So you sort of pop in with a quick video message, and the other person sees it, receives it whenever they get to their phone, just like a text message, but they could have notifications that they see it's happening right away, and they respond with a video. It's wonderful. You can have a one-on-one Marco Polo, or you can have a group Marco Polo. This is just so much fun and something great to have in between your regular meetings to sort of just check in on each other and, share good news like the moment it happens. And again, I think that face-to-face is really the thing that is going to help sustain all of this connectedness that we need. And this is not to say by any stretch that if you had just voice messages or you had just text messages, you could not stay connected with people. But I do think in a time that like this that we're living in, where we, depending on your own home situation, you may just not be seeing people as much as you typically would. This is a great way to connect with people. And in terms of a writing community, if you're meeting people for the first time, it's so great to have a face that goes with the words and with the voice and all of that. I've really enjoyed it immensely. Of course, to keep up energy in any type of community group exercise like this, you want to make sure that there's regularity in your meetings, that people can count on you showing up at a certain time in a certain place. And that is one thing that I am juggling right now between the Happy Campers and the Staten Island Writers Group and Stop Writing Alone. I've definitely done my due diligence to show up for Happy Campers because we have a very solid schedule that I show up for. But I know that I need to and would love to show up with that same sort of regularity for Stop Writing Alone, of course, in the Facebook group, and also for the Staten Island Writing Group, which has been so hard for me to sort of manage and juggle without us meeting in person. But if we are going to take on the challenge of filling in the space where NaNoWriMo is stepping aside, we really do have to take these things seriously. And I know that I have to do that for my local group as well. So I just want you to, if anyone out there received this email from NaNoWriMo and felt discouraged and felt disappointed about that one more thing that has been taken away, please don't lose hope. Please don't feel like all is lost, because I do believe that there is so much available to us now that this does not have to be a thing that feels less than, right? Because there are so many ways to make it what it was, and perhaps even more. Just a couple of other apps that you may want to consider and look at if you are thinking about organizing a virtual writing group. Slack is a great sort of platform for maintaining communications and sharing with a group of people that are all sort of on the same page. It's what Sam Kimberly uses with all of her Creative Life Scholars groups. And, she does a fantastic job of organizing the space according to what we're reading and when we have our meetings and various discussion topics and things of that nature. Voxer is an app that I adore, that I use with my Mastermind group of ladies, which is kind of just like a walkie-talkie. And you would be so surprised at what kind of deep connections that you can maintain with people with just your voice going back and forth. So another free app, this is all available to us. If you are hearing this podcast, whatever tech that you're listening to this podcast on, you have an entryway to connecting to other writers, so that at the end of the day, whether there are in-person events or not this year, there is zero excuse for you to be writing alone. This is your year. If you have not done it already, if you've been listening to this podcast and you keep saying to yourself, I need to stop writing alone, then there's no time like now. Because again, if you have the tech to listen to this podcast, you have the ability to connect with fellow writers. And I am going to be wrapping up the summer edition of the Stop Writing Alone Happy Campers at the end of August. And I will be taking at least a week in September to regroup and get a handle on the schedule that is remote learning for my son, and my husband will also be teaching from home. So just really ironing out family schedules and things of that nature. But if you do not want to take the reins and create a writing community virtually to fill the space of NaNoWriMo, if you are not feeling the vibe of whatever your regional ML is providing, then just stick with me. Something will be coming, because obviously I am loving too much the connections that I am making virtually as it is. So I will be opening the doors again for the next round of whatever this is going to be called next. Do I still call it the Happy Campers Club if we're out of summer? I don't know. I love the Happy Campers Club. It's wonderful. That is pretty much what I wanted to come to you guys with. I was thinking about how if an email like this had dropped in my inbox even 3 years ago, I would have felt really, really bummed out about it, because I always felt like November and NaNoWriMo was like writer's Christmas, and it was the time to sort of like open up and find the new writing people out there that were, who's writing in my neighborhood, what's going on, let me meet the cool people that I didn't know were hiding here. And it's not going to happen exactly that way this year. However, as I said at the top of this episode, I feel really, really happy that they've made this decision, because I think it's the right way to go. And it makes me happy to support NaNoWriMo as much as I do and more. I'm constantly telling any writer friends, have you done it? Have you tried it? You got to check out this website. And I do donate every single year, because they've given me so much. It's be ridiculous for me not to give back. So, consider that too. If you haven't donated to NaNoWriMo yet and you have been participating, or if you've just been inspired by what NaNoWriMo does, please head on over to their site and donate, because they are a not-for-profit and they give so much. So that is it for this week. And on the topic of wanting to donate to anyone that may have inspired you here or there, some of the ladies in the Happy Campers Club pointed out to me that while I have the Stop Writing Alone shop with all of the the logo on all different types of things like cool stickers or mugs or notebooks or t-shirts. I have not made the link to said shop readily available. And while I have mentioned the Stop Writing Alone bookshop over at bookshop.org, I have not made that link readily available. And while at the beginning of every episode I always tell you that a real simple way to support the Stop Writing Alone podcast is to donate to the coffee.com site to buy Nicole a coffee, I have not made that link readily available either. Well, no more, my friends. If you head on over to stopwritingalone.com, you will find a tab that says shops. And once you click on there, you will see a link for getting your Stop Writing Alone swag. You will find a link for the Stop Writing Alone bookshop. And you will find a link for the coffee page where you can donate to buy a cup of coffee to keep this wonderful podcast and writing community going all year round. So I want to thank Amy Strong for lighting that fire under my butt to make sure that that happened this week. And well, it's all good stuff. I actually have to get myself a brand new Stop Writing Alone notebook because I finally finished mine, which is good. That means I've been doing lots of writing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will talk to you again next week. Have a wonderful week. Happy writing. Happy reading if you're not in Sam's book club and in reading deprivation this week because of The Artist's Way, like I am. And if you aren't depriving yourself of reading and media, and you can swing over to YouTube on Friday, there will be a brand new writing prompt waiting for you to inspire you to write yet another short story, whether you want to do one short story or take on the year-long challenge that I am of writing 52 short stories in 52 weeks. That's on the NV Rivera YouTube channel, and I don't know what week we're up to. It's like 30-something, 34 maybe? Not sure. Anyway, they'll all be there waiting for you, as this podcast is as well if you like to listen to things on YouTube. Have a great week. If you have some extra time and you are enjoying what this podcast gives to you, please consider writing a review for the podcast either on Apple iTunes or on Spotify. Those are, I believe, the only platforms that request reviews at this point. Thank you very much for listening.
Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter. Happy writing. See you next week.